Hello, and Adrian Wyatt has written. I've been talking about the delays in the Horizon compensation scheme, and I think I made a throwaway comment about the Catholic idea of purgatory and the middle book of the great Divine Comedy by Dante. And Adrian says purgatory is a Romanist heresy condemned at the Ecumenical Council of Constantinople in 1484, of which all four patriarchs were present. Well, all four may have been present, but the fifth wasn't. And it's, I hasten to add, number one, I'll answer this as a member of the Orthodox Church, because I think it's appropriate. My tutor in Oxford was also Metropolitan Callistos, and we remained in close contact. He brought me into the Orthodox Church himself, and I would regard him as my spiritual father. Callistos had a particular view. He had a very kind theology, and it was very much based on the ideas of Gregory of Nyssa. And he was very indulgent towards the ideas of Origen, though he was. I remember he was quite theatrical in his anathemas at the beginning of Lent, of which Origen is firmly anathematized. Anathema, 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 he would say. So one of the big differences between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church is the doctrine of purgatory. But when you examine it, the Catholic idea of purgatory, which is very legal in its concept, is not so far removed from the Orthodox idea of the open gates of hell, and which is represented very much in the icon of the anastasis, and the icon of the resurrection, with Christ standing on the two open gates of hell and all the keys of hell and death himself, Hades, represented at Christ's feet. So if hell is opened, then it means all creatures formerly in hell are capable of being released. And the icon of the anastasis, the icon of the resurrection, shows Christ helping up, giving a hand to the former inhabitants of hell, Adam and Eve, and the prophets and the kings of Israel, and they stand on either side of him in the larger icons, to demonstrate the new reality of the resurrection, the new reality, the new salvation. And ultimately, there are Orthodox saints who talk about praying for the salvation even of the devil, and that is a concept. So if that is a possibility, then that is a concept of purgatory. It means that hell, as we understand it, is basically a temporal expedient that will be ended with the salvation of the devil. And the idea of purgatory in the Catholic Church is this post-mortem purification place where the souls are awaiting purification. They are destined for heaven, but they die with residual sin. And this is about the legal process of the Augustinian understanding of original sin. The Orthodox criticism often caricatured purgatory as a place of fire and Rome's theological legalism. But are Catholics and Orthodox views on post-mortem purification truly irreconcilable? I don't think they are. Ludwig Ott's Fundamentals of Catholic Dogma describes purgatory as a purifying punishment, not necessarily fire. And Pope Benedict XVI view is that purgatory is an encounter with Christ where his love purifies the soul. And of course, from that point of view, he's drawing on John Henry Newman's idea that one sight of perfection, and you want to hide in purgatory until you are worthy of it. The church, it's important to see what the church teaches and what the church does not teach. There's no temporal or literal fire or place that is dogmatically required or prescribed. The Council of Constantinople that Adrian refers to in 1484 explicitly rejected purgatorial fire, but acknowledged prayers for the dead as efficacious. And you can't pray for the dead if you don't think those prayers are going to have some effect. And that goes all the way back to the Maccabees. And Hades, the abode of the dead, rather than a separate purgatorial state, is how orthodoxy would approach this. It doesn't speculate, in other words. It doesn't get into the details. St. Mark of Ephesus at Florence is a key defender of the orthodox view against the Latin doctrine. He argued for purification through God's love and prayers rather than the satisfaction or fire. But both traditions affirm a post-mortem purification and the importance of prayers for the dead after a person dies. And they rely on 2 Maccabees and the tradition of intercessory prayers. And the Catholic focus on temporal consequences of sin and satisfaction are paralleled by the Orthodox emphasis on theosis, deification, which happens automatically because of the impact of the nativity on humanity, the change that humanity is given simply because Christ is among us, Christ is part of us, Christ changes our humanity. In the same way as Adam changed our humanity, Christ changes our humanity. And theosis is about relational healing rather than judicial punishment. And Saint Seraphim of Sarov focuses on the divine love as itself a consuming fire, and it echoes themes in both traditions, but it leans away from legalism, and his teachings align with Orthodox's views of a post-mortem experience, which is about our relationship, which continues to grow with God, rather than about our punishment. And where Bishop Callistos acknowledges the Orthodox discomfort with purgatory, but recognizes the conceptual overlaps with Catholic teaching, and he advocates for seeing purification as an encounter with God's love, a point echoed in Pope Benedict XVI's view. And that shouldn't be surprising given the fact that both Bishop Callistos and Benedict were inspired by the writings of John Henry Newman. Bishop Callistos's universalist hope underscores the role of God's love in overcoming sin, reflecting Orthodox theological optimism. And so I think to be too dismissive of purgatory is to misunderstand both Orthodoxy and Catholicism. Catholic teaching on purgatory is not at all as rigid or as judicial as it's sometimes portrayed, and the ecumenical dialogues, as for example in the Council of Jerusalem in 1672, which recognized the value of prayers for the dead and post-mortem purification in both traditions, and the shared belief in God's mercy is and the transformative power of Christ is something that is present in both traditions. Further theological dialogue, nuanced discussions are very much something that need to develop because of this abusive legalism and the misunderstood value of the words which are being cited, the misunderstandings of these conciliar statements. I would go much further, and I would say that there are parallels not only between Orthodoxy and Catholicism, but between Christianity and Judaism and Islam, and and that all of this is about the aspect of unknowing, the aspect of ignorance, which is something to be celebrated, that we cannot know. But we can know that the relationship that we have with the divine on earth is something that can continue, or is something that will continue and will be enriched. And from that point of view, the slightest hint of positivity is something that can be encouraged and will be encouraged. The slightest hint, the slightest flicker of positivity. And on that, I think I follow Bishop Callistos in being as optimistic as possible, and I certainly wouldn't condemn ideas from the Catholic Church, from the Orthodox Church, from the Anglican Church, from Protestantism, or from other traditions at all. I would embrace them and try to find common meaning and common purpose and positivity.